I'm just wanting to give all of you that are joining us in this rewilding retreat a very warm welcome. Um, just how it came about a few months ago in the little village that I live in, Pringle Bay, we had a huge issue with baboons. And that was an issue dividing people in a huge way. And then we started a group, the Rewilding Group, more focusing on nature and how when people interfere, how we actually get divided and do things in a way that can be harsh or not truthful to what nature actually wants. And the idea with the Rewilding Group was more about letting nature do its own thing instead of humans interfering and creating more problems. So I am Ilse van Balen, and I am hosting this retreat with a couple of beautiful speakers or mentors or teachers. And together we will actually look more deeper into what rewilding for people actually mean and how we can rewild ourselves so that we can come to the truth of who we really are. Now, if we ask truth to come in, truth will actually work its way through you and bump up to all that things that are not in truth. So sometimes it's not the easy journey, but in the end, it will set us free. So today I have Susan Gash and Sven Carlson with me as teachers or guidance or mentors to help us in unraveling this process of rewilding. Now, their expertise is in dowsing, and they use dowsing in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to ask Sven and Susan to actually introduce themselves to us and tell us more about what they do and how they work with dowsing as a tool, and then also more how we can use it in rewilding ourselves. Okay, the floor is over to you.
Thank you, Ilse, and it's an honor to be here with you and everybody who's participating in this beautiful intention of rewilding ourselves. And we got very excited when we heard about the theme for this, because that is one of our goals with the work that we do in dowsing, which is an ancient shamanic form, a way of working and transforming energy. So we use this tool as a way to cut away, well, we use the word clear, all those things that no longer really serve us or really belong to us. For instance, energies and belief systems that have come down through our ancestral line or that are sitting within our cultural heritage, to past life psychic cords, to entities. There's so many ways that we work with this, but we're working with dowsing on a personal transformational level. Many of you might know dowsing as a way of finding water, and that was one of the original ways that dowsing was used, and it is. And dowsing can be used in so many different ways, but we have just found our way with it. We've been dowsers now for about 18 to 20 years to working with people and helping them discover ways to empower themselves. And if you decide to work with this tool, well, we'd be happy. We always say that the world would be a better place if there's more dowsers in it. So it's a way of working with your own energy and your living space energy, as well as again, once we like to say, starting close in, working with ourselves, but then we can work with our family members, our loved ones, and if you so choose, working with other people. So.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sven. Welcome. I'll give a short bio of how it is that, Susan and I have gotten into this position where we share dowsing with people. I was in the rescue business for a good number of years, and I got hurt. I went through a good number of surgeries, and I discovered a type of body work called Rolfing. And for me, it was life-saving. Now, the interesting thing about it is that in working with the physical body in that regard, there's great benefits. but I would notice that sometimes things wouldn't stick with people, like we'd get a change and there'd be like an improvement, but you see them in a few months later and it kind of went back. So I began my exploration of working with the mind, with the subconscious mind. And I wanted to find out how we can get in there to make permanent change. I studied a good number of modalities. I got certified in quite a few, and they were all good, but still things weren't sticking. And then I came across a form of breath work, which was very positive. And I taught different types of energy work, Reiki, things along that line for a fair number of years. But when we came across dowsing, what drew me to it so much was that my belief system is that we all have the love and the light and the healing abilities in our beings. And however, a good number of us, almost everybody, can have some problems, can have some obstacles. And when we came across dowsing, I was so drawn to it because it was like, let's look at some things that we can clear. And it could be traumas, issues, belief systems, unpleasant experiences. It could be from current life, previous lives, imprinted lives, altered dimensions that we carry forward into this one. And the results that we got, and this kind of leans towards reclaiming ourselves, the results that we have gotten can be life-changing for people. And because it allows us to say, hey, well, here's something, and then we can clear ourselves. And in the brainwave state that we work in is called alpha, and it's about here we are right now in this lifetime. And when we have the ability to learn certain questions to ask about what it is that could be going on, it can make profound changes with people. And so this has been a big portion of our work that we have gone into. So with regard to reclaiming ourselves, to being who we are, many times it's just acknowledging something that is a fear, a doubt, an apprehension, and we clear that, and all of a sudden life begins to seem different. So I'm all about let's reclaim our true selves. And in order to do that, sometimes we dive into the depths of the subconscious mind, and that allows us to bring things to the conscious mind. And then we can just smile and think, what a wonderful opportunity. Now we can change something. And all of a sudden, we reclaim nature. We reclaim enjoyment of just walking on the beach or whatever. So that is what drew me to saying, yes, we would love to participate in this particular discussion, and with the other folks who will be involved also. So that's my short bio.
Thank you. Just what I actually also wanted to say, it's so lovely for partners that work together in their life mission or their service to the world. It's like 1 and 1 is not just 2, it's 1 and 2. 1 and 1 becomes much more because the two of you actually really support each other and fill each other on. If someone is not having the answer, the other one can always step in. So it's so nice when partners really do their life missions together. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you if you can take us through a practical, what would you call it, a dowsing session, and just give the people that are interested in dowsing just a few tips how we can start and what we do and how do we use our pendulums. So those of you that has pendulums can just bring it, and then we will go through some
Okay.
game or something with
Okay,
it. I've got mine.
let me just give a basic, what we call a baseline when we start working with somebody. And there's just a few things, and then we'll actually get into doing an actual dowsing session called soul retrieval later on. The first thing that we check in working with people is we like to check their living space energy. This is of utmost importance because if the living space energy is low or there's a problem, then the person would have a problem. So we start off, we look at that, then we look at the personal energetic level of a person. We look at, there's different types of frequencies. And we work with what's called the mental emotional body level frequency, which has a tendency to get too high, which can cause some problems. And then, of course, we look at entities, energetic patterns, and curses. And so we start off by doing this. And what we find is that we love discussion with our clients. And, and we like to ask questions, and we like to hear what they're thinking, what's going on. And then that'll always take us down a path of where it is that we want to go. So, and you want to describe the pendulum a bit?
Yeah. So when we're working in this area, it's the beautiful thing about dowsing is that it gives us a language, a way to perceive energy. And it's like the invisible world becomes visible to us, because the invisible world, which is that sea of energy that we all belong to, impacts us quite strongly. And this is why we feel this is such a beautiful tool to work with if you choose to venture into it, because it will empower you in ways that that you will learn how to transform energy, your energy, and above and beyond. And it's all possible. The beautiful thing with dowsing is that it works, first of all, and also we work through and with spirit world. So it will build your connection to your own intuition as you work with it. It strengthens that muscle, so to speak. And it also builds your relationship with your spirit guides and spirit world. So the tool that Ilse is speaking about, the pendulum, if you have one, it would be beautiful for us to just go through that now. And then Sven will take us through the soul retrieval. So the pendulum, again, is a tool, everything, and the chart that we work with as well. And dowsing is what we like to say a form of prayer. It's an intention. And energy follows intention. So once we put the prayer, the request out, or the request for clearing, or the invitation for a beautiful spirit to work with us, like the spirit of peace or spirit of harmony, then the energy will adjust and adhere to that. That's how powerful we are as human beings in working with this tool. So if everybody has their pendulum, we'll take you through the four really simple ways that we work with it, and that can give you a lot of possibilities to work more than just yes or no, but we will take us through that. So your pendulum is a tool that you can just program. If this is different than what your pendulum and you work with, that's fine. You don't need to adapt to it. But for those of you who would like to go through this protocol here, so we want to you can initiate a swing, a forward back swing with your pendulum, and you just program it that this is your yes. Forward and back swing, this is your yes. And your pendulum is just however whatever pendulum you work with, whether this is a metal one, and you can work with a stone or a crystal. I simply prefer metal because it never needs to be cleaned, as crystals need to be cleaned from time to time. So yes, this is my yes. And then just allow it to stop. And then initiate a side swing, east to west. And that I'm going to program as being my no. So I'm also working with my conscious and subconscious mind now, programming this pendulum, my tool. This is my no, east to west or left to right. So when I have a question, these are yes or no questions. However, sometimes in dowsing, we're not looking for a yes or no, so to speak. We might be looking for a percentage, like a degree of something. So that's also, you learn along the way, is this better asked as a degree or percentage versus a yes or no? And that's just something along the way that you learn. Okay, for today, we really want to use the clockwise spin. So that's to your right. This is probably going to look like to your left since it's a mirror, but to your right, it's a circular spin. And this is the direction when we're inviting in a spirits of harmony, peace. Well, you'll see today when we're inviting in lost aspects of our soul that might have splintered off. This is also for increasing, if we want to raise our personal energy level. This is the clockwise spin. And that's what you program it is. This is for increasing and invitation. And now the last one, so we just have 4 simple movements, is a counterclockwise swing to the left. Counterclockwise swing to the left. And you program your pendulum. This is for clearing. This spin is used for decreasing. If we want to bring our frequency down, the one we're speaking about, which is our body emotional state. If we're feeling anxious, we want to lower that. If we want to clear, eliminate something that's not working for us, we use the counterclockwise swing. So that's pretty simple, and you can just program your pendulum that easily.
Okay, I want to point out a couple things. The pendulum is a tool. The pendulum is not magic. Pendulum is a tool that gives information when you ask a question we use a chart, and that we teach with the pendulum because it will build people's confidence. The dowsing works with any belief system that a person has. We'll talk to spirit guides, spirit doctors, and spirit world because that's the shamanic way that we learned, and we have stuck with that. But whatever it is that a person prays to, then the dowsing works. What we just like to share is that we never do anything ourselves. We pray, or we ask who it is that we pray to, and then they will do the work. The interesting thing about dowsing is we can use this work to address just about anything that you can imagine. The trick, it's not a trick. The thing about dowsing is that we share how you ask questions, because we can ask questions that a lot of people never think about. And I just want to throw this in before we start, is we have had some amazing results with animals also. And so we can douse with just about anything that you think about, but animals, many times they have the same things that we have. And we have really had some incredible results with different type of animals. Now,
well, yeah, I want to just add into that, because that was your initial impulse, Ilse, is looking with the baboons there. And although we don't say that we work with animals, occasionally it was brought to us because we didn't really feel, is this going to work or not? But what we discovered was that, as Sven was mentioning, when we're talking about psychic cords, even entities and things like that, they're the same things that animals can pick up on. And so it was fascinating. The couple cases that we had where people said, please, for one instance, this beautiful little 2-year-old cat that we worked with, and the owner was in such distress because the cat, she had taken to several vets. They couldn't find out what was happening in its failure to thrive. It was just not eating, it was losing weight. And we said, okay, send us a picture, which we generally don't do. And we saw the cat and could see that the cat was not well. And the cat had several entities. And not only, but psychic cords from a past life with that owner. So they'd come back in together. So it was a fascinating clearing. And within an hour after that clearing, the cat made some huge improvements. And she took new pictures. The cat changed its appearance and then began eating, and then started being friends. She said the other cat in her house was his girlfriend, was close again with the girlfriend. And we just were so so much gratitude around that because we love animals. We did have a farm for a while, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful
Wow. Yeah,
experience.
that's
It
amazing
was,
what is all possible.
yes.
Yes.
The cat, when we saw the picture, was at first we had told this particular person, no, we don't do that. And then she called us. We were in London. We called us when we were back here at in our place that we live, just sobbing, crying because the cat's dying. And so we said, okay, we saw a picture of the cat, and yes, the cat was possessed the same way as people can, and that was like a miracle, a
Wow.
dowsing session.
Awesome.
So I'm like, what?
Oh, is there anything you want to ask us? Because we're just
No,
we're on
I'm
our
ready.
high horse, we're on
I'm
our-
all ready with my chart and my pendulum to
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
Now we have many things that we can look at with when we work with somebody, and some are kind of lightweight, and some can be very deep, and some can be very life-changing. And so we've picked out a couple depending on our time, and we can go through them, but I'm going to give you an example of what we call, and this goes back to when we're talking about reclaiming ourselves, reclaiming our soul, our energy from, and I like to use four things. I will say current life, previous lives, imprinted lives, and altered dimensions. I'll just briefly, an imprinted life means that we picked up energy from somebody in a different lifetime, but we weren't actually in physical body in that incarnation. So we say all four, so we cover all the bases. But basically what happens is we have all had traumas, all of us. And if not in this lifetime, we've had traumas in previous lifetimes. Sometimes when we receive a trauma, rather current or previous lives, it's too much for us to take. And so whoever it is that we pray to says, you know, we're going to split off 10, 15% of your soul because you just can't take this right now. And so what we like to do, and we explain this to people when we work, is we start off with a couple of questions. We like to start off with, what percentage of soul did you enter into this incarnation with? And we'll get an answer. And then we can ask, what percentage of soul do you have current right now? Now, sometimes it can be, they could have gained through whatever, I'll say spiritual work or whatever they do, and they could have gained some back. And sometimes if this incarnation is trauma, they have some trauma, sometimes it can be less. But people usually like to know the numbers. And so this is what we use the chart for. And, and that's a teaching in itself with the numbers. And so what we'll do is I will, once we get those answers, then I will say, spirit guides, spirit doctors, spirit world, take any and all help necessary and go back in time. Now, for me, this is a counterclockwise swing with the pendulum because we're going back in time. And then I'll say current lifetime, previous lifetimes, imprinted lifetimes, and older dimensions, because there's a lot of people that come from another dimension here on this planet. And the pendulum will simply just swing in a counterclockwise fashion, and it will locate all lost fragments of soul over time. And then eventually the pendulum, sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it's fairly quick. It depends on how the fragments are spread apart. And the pendulum will, after a point, it will just tell me yes. And then when it says yes, then I'll take that, always express gratitude. And then I will take that opportunity and I will ask for these soul fragments to be adjusted to the ideal vibration, the ideal frequency, and the ideal energetic level. And then I will go clockwise with the pendulum and ask to bring these soul fragments forward in time to join with the client in current moment. And I always like to say in a soft, gentle fashion, because there are times we'll encounter some fear. And the fear of bringing them forward in time might come from a client who's saying, I had that trauma and I don't really want to feel any part of that trauma again. But the soul fragments didn't experience the trauma. That's why they split off. And so sometimes I'll stop and explain this to the client so we reduce the fear. And then clockwise with the pendulum, and we bring the fragments forward in time to join soft, gentle fashion. And then the pendulum will swing until it stops and it will say yes. Now, this can be a very serious thing for some people. And once it says yes, then we'll give a minute for the client. And then we'll say, okay, what percentage of soul do you have now? And we'll take another measurement using in the chart. It's not always 100%. Because sometimes, let's say it's 82, 88%, because sometimes there's an integration period that's needed. And so many times we might get high 80s, low 90s, and then over a couple of weeks, the integration will take place. But this is just, it's just a way of reclaiming, part of our energy, our souls, whatever belief system that you have, and to rejoin in current moment. Now, the beautiful thing about this is all we have to do is ask. A lot of people don't understand how to ask for these things. And so if we ask, we will be successful, because it's just the soul fragments are wanting to be asked. And we had one of our cats was a rescue cat, and it was very sick, and we had to take it to the hospital every day for like 2 weeks for different things. Every time we went into that center, it would get possessed again with an entity. So we had to clear it constantly. And it's the same thing. And then it turned into a beautiful, healthy cat that we had for many years. And this is just an example of what we call soul retrieval in reclaiming ourselves. And it can be, very profound for people. And it's nice when we have a large percentage of our soul in this incarnation.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we'd like to do is actually take everyone through this protocol, and you can use your pendulum, and Sven will signal to us. And now I'm going clockwise. Now I'm going counterclockwise. And so this, just to say that this protocol, we felt like this was one of the best protocols to share with everybody today, because of the theme of rewilding ourselves, bringing back aspects of ourselves that have gotten lost along the way. But to say that in all of the work that we do in dowsing, this protocol, along with one other one called the degree of feeling wanted at birth, which is a huge imprint that we get, are two of the most profound protocols. So we're really happy to share that with everyone today. So all everyone has to do who's here is to just agree to work with this retrieval with us. And then if you have a pendulum, again, you can participate in that way as well.
Okay. So if you don't have a pendulum, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay too.
Because I'll use mine. Okay. I've never actually done a group like this for soul retrieval, so this will be interesting. It's always been individualized, but we'll see how it goes.
This would be beautiful. So it'll be a lot of people at once.
So my pendulum is swinging counterclockwise, and I ask spirit guides, spirit doctors, spirit world, take any and all help necessary. And with regard to people who are participating in this particular dowsing experience, to go back in time, current life, previous lives, imprinted lives, and altered dimensions, and locate all lost aspects of fragmented soul. We're asking that this be done for the highest benefit of everybody concerned, and we're asking that you do it now. I'd like to express our gratitude. Now, sometimes if my pendulum continues to swing, I'll say the mantra twice. Spirit guides, spirit doctors, spirit world, take any and all help necessary, and go back in time, current life, previous lives, imprinted lives, and altered dimensions, and locate all lost aspects of fragmented soul for all participants who are here and who are listening. We're asking this be done for the highest benefit of everybody concerned. Okay, now my pendulum is showing me yes, that this has been accomplished. So I like to express my gratitude, and I ask spirit guides, spirit doctors, spirit world, take any and all help necessary and adjust these lost fragments.
So here the pendulum will switch to a clockwise swing now.
Yes, because now we're inviting in to adjust to the perfect vibration, the perfect frequency, and the perfect energetic level. And in a soft, gentle fashion, bring them forward in time to rejoin with all participants here. We're asking this be done for the highest benefit of everybody concerned, and we're asking that you do it now. I'd like to express our gratitude. So my pendulum is still swinging, and when it comes to completion, it will tell me yes. So there's a lot of work going on here. Okay, now it's beginning to come to closure. Okay, now my pendulum is saying yes, so I say thank you. And then usually at this point, we give the client that we're working with a couple of minutes, because they they want to integrate the dowsing that we have just done.
So it's an invitation for everybody here to just do that for a moment. Just take a pause, and we can offer up a prayer to your guides, to your higher self, to the source. Just a prayer of gratitude. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you,
beautiful. Thank you for that. And that's something that you can do over and over again. At the end, I'll speak more about the gracious gift that you gifted all the people that are tuning into this, and how they can actually use this on their own as well. I just want to ask you about the pandemic, and how does the COVID pandemic actually help us in awakening us to a higher version of ourselves? Sometimes we feel a bit like, I know a lot of my rebel came out in the beginning of the pandemic, but I can really see how it actually pushes everybody in some or other direction, so that we can actually rewild and discover more of who we are. What is your experience with the pandemic, and how can we use dowsing also in aspects of the pandemic that comes up for us in clearing and claiming more of ourselves?
That's great to bring it so current.
I'll
start because I love the way you phrased it, of what has come, what are the silver lining of this, what is the gifts that have come out of it. And it has been a really pressurized time, and in its higher perspective, it was intended to be a high pressure time, not just on the collective, the whole world, but on each individual. And so we've all had to work with whatever has come up, and these archetypes that rise up, the warrior. I know that was really strong for Sven as well, the rebel, and maybe the eternal optimist was like, we'll get through this, and let's just see that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, even though we're still more or less in it. But one interesting thing that came through in the very beginning of the March, whenever that was, 2020, because we work with spirit doctors as well, is that I did a bit of channeling with them regarding it, to get a little clarity about it. And what they came through and said was that first of all, we collectively invited this event in, and that it was going to take something this big to really shake people, stir them, and wake them. And I think that it's done its job. It's done its job. From a dowsing perspective, one of the things we've been working with quite a lot with people, and is to clear what we call mass consciousness, which is that collective thought forms that sit over us, whether it's in our little village or our country or the world, everybody's collective thought forms that are happening, especially because of this pandemic. So fear was a big one, right? There was so much fear that was put out there and triggered people. And now it's an opportunity to clear it, honestly, but on a grander schedule, just saying, okay, we want to clear with our pendulums, with that request to spirit guide, clear the impact, the non-beneficial impact of mass consciousness on us. Because again, we're in a sea of energy, and anything, even our neighbors or a larger, as I say, like a country, those thought forms are all being impressed upon us. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to just discern, is this mine or is this the collective's? Mm-hmm. And in a case, maybe it doesn't really matter. We just want to ask to clear mass consciousness from our system. So, yeah.
Yes, and there is a collective growing awareness that is resulting from the experience that we've all been through, and because we are always interested in the truth of things that are going on, and so there is a surge. It's been growing. It's in a really nice way of an awareness. So we've been asked before to do some dowsing in this regard, and what we would dowse for, for the collective consciousness is just for the awareness of truth, and also because the fear is a big one, and so in certain ways, it has brought us together. Like in the beginning, we couldn't step outside of our front door, and all of our neighbors up and down the street would stand on their stoop at 8 o'clock at night. And we got to know so many of our neighbors that we would have never known, because we do have a language barrier where we live. And so there has been some good things that have come from this, and the one thing is that with regard to dowsing, when we are exposed to a collective fear, then we will clear that, and then always the way that we work in our dowsing is that first we would like to say, if we think there's an obstacle or an issue or a problem, we ask for as much as possible for that to be cleared. And then we like to invite in the spirit of calmness, the spirit of happiness, the spirit of health, the spirit of joy. Spirit is the strongest energy. And so we will use those words, and then we would take that opportunity just to make that invitation. And then of course, just wish everybody the very best. So, that's how it's affected.
If you like, Elsa, if you like, we can go through that invitation process here too.
Yes, that's lovely. I see we have still got a few minutes time. So it's always lovely when we clear something to fill it with something that we really want as well. So just a reminder for people that do the dowsing, if you clear stuff, remember to fill that void of that which you cleared with something that you really want back into your life. Okay, it will be lovely to do.
Exactly.
Think
We,
about
we
and
call it the window of opportunity,
Okay.
and we like to end the session with an invitation and with participation, and health, joy, happiness, understanding.
He always gives it away
Well,
before we do it. But this is an invitation
Well,
for,
for how long do we have first of
I
all?
think a few more minutes at least, huh? Ilse, we
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
few
yeah.
more minutes.
yeah.
Okay, so when we do this invitation, you'll hear, and we'll invite Ilse to bring some words as well forward. But then also while you're doing this, participating in this invitation, whatever you want to invite in, if we don't say that spirit of that particular emotion or feeling, you just call it in, right? You just call it in person for yourself. And it'll be for the group as
We'll
well.
do this at the end of the session. Huh?
Oh, we can do it now.
Okay.
Don't you think, Ilse, should we do it
Yes.
now?
Yeah, we can do it
Because
now.
okay, I guess I'm the timekeeper here. Okay. All right, beautiful, everybody. Yeah, all right, so here we go. So we want to, again, because this is an invitation process, our pendulum, mine was automatically going to go clockwise, but you can initiate that swing. The only time with your pendulum that you don't initiate a swing or a directional movement is when you're asking for some information, right? But this is a request to bring in a spirit, and I'm initiating the clockwise spin. And as Sven was saying, we call this the window of opportunity. So we're inviting now all of your guides, our spirit guides, spirit world, spirit doctors. We want to invite in now, and we imagine this big, beautiful window opening up, right? Just a big, beautiful window that opens up as we invite these spirits now into our lives, into our living space energy as well, into our lives, into our homes. So we begin the process, spirit world, spirit guides, spirit doctors. We want to invite in spirits here to be with us. And I'll just begin by saying the spirit of peace.
Deep connection to all that is.
Spirit of connection, yes. I think that's part of this rewilding, is connecting here again with the planet and with every living conscious being on the planet. Spirit of equilibrium.
And freedom of choice.
And the spirit of joy, spirit of love, appreciation.
Of abundance.
Spirit of abundance in all its many forms. Spirit of prosperity.
And compassion.
Spirit of compassion. Yeah, self-compassion, compassion for others. This is a big one when you're asking the question of our current situation, is to really, because when those archetypes and those emotions come up so strongly, to really bring in that spirit of compassion.
Yeah, and everyone is on a different page with where they are on their journeys, and we can sometimes be not so patient.
Exactly. And it can be happening right in our own household,
Yeah.
So spirit of inspiration, spirit of vision for what's coming. We're bringing the spirit of vision, activating our own envisioning process.
Exactly.
Spirit of creativity.
Mm-hmm. And truth.
Spirit of truth, yeah. There is that truth will set you free. Truth will set you free.
And patience while it works through you. And the patience while it works through you.
Spirit of patience. Spirit of awareness.
Yeah.
And so whatever you would like to, if we haven't named it, please go ahead and do that for yourself. Just invite in that spirit, because when we do this kind of work together, like in a group format like this, it's so much more powerful. It's what you said, is a 1 + 1 = 100, doesn't really equal 2. And here we are, a much larger group. So we can also extend this window of invitation to the planet now, and to everybody on the planet. So we do it for ourselves first, And then we ask all the spirit world, spirit guides, spirit doctors to let this ring out like a ripple, right? To the whole planet and to anyone or any being who would like to receive it, to receive it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, 24 hours.
And that this, we call it the 24-hour window of opportunity because we hold this intention for 24 hours with everyone here. Now, you can do this at any time in this invitation process. As Ilse said, it's great to do after a clearing, and any way that you do clearing, it's great to do this invitation process. But we'll hold this together for 24 hours. So whenever you hear this, whenever you're present with it, for 24 hours, this energy will be circling and cycling together as a group, which is very powerful. We know that phrase where two or more are gathered. It's a true phrase.
Yes, that's true. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say or remind the people of.
I would like to share
closing
one.
thought. Yeah.
I'd like to share one thing, and that this is just, we won't actually do this, but I would like to share that we have a dowsing protocol, and it's called the feeling of being wanted at birth. And this one is one of the absolute strongest protocols that we have, because it will bring, like, let's say, I hate to categorize, but so it's men who are like kind of disbelievers, and it will bring tears to people, because there's a lot of people that come in that, you know, they just didn't have the, because we believe that when in conception, the baby knows everything. And sometimes if there's financial difficulties or any problems, a result of an affair, but to douse this, and there's a protocol which we won't go through now, but there's a protocol which requires the participants' participation. But this protocol can be one of the biggest life-changing things that we do, and because we've seen it. And so I just wanted to touch on that one. And it's a little lengthy to go through now, but just that this is just another example of how asking certain questions and knowing how to go back in time can help a person reclaim themselves that maybe they never even had since birth. It's different than soul retrieval. And so this is just a beautiful thing, Ilse, for you allowing us to share with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's lovely to actually then reclaim the life from a different perspective when you bring in that chat. If it wasn't a welcoming thought when you were conceived, to really change that and live a different life from there on. Yeah, that's beautiful. Susan, and you, have you got anything, closing words?
Well, just it's been beautiful to be here together, and I think it's powerful when we come together. Powerful maybe in ways that we don't even realize. And so again, we're grateful that everybody's here and had this opportunity to share with you something that we love, and hope that we've spurred some interest too for people to explore a little bit with the dowsing world and what's possible and what you can do, because we began 18 years ago, but as beginners as well. And it's the lovely thing about dowsing is that it's ever evolving, ever expanding. So you begin and it just continues to grow. And that's a beautiful thing. And I like it because we're learning something new all the time.
Yeah. And as clients come to you, you learn from their experiences as well.
Absolutely. And just to say too, Ilse, because Ilse belongs with our dowsing lab, it's a lovely group. And that's the nice thing, to have a support system in place. So if you do decide to try out some dowsing, you know, there's support, because that's something that we realized is once we were teaching dowsing, it's like, well, what's next? And then just realizing that because we work together, we have kind of in-house support, but to offer support in a larger way. It's wonderful because there will be questions, you know, there will be questions.
Yeah, and it's lovely to have that support. Yeah, thank you so much. I also just want to make the listeners attend to, Susan and Sven gave a very gracious gift. When you see this, there will be a button that you can push, and then you will get to the dowsing guide, which is a very helpful guide if you're interested in guiding in dowsing. Yeah, to download this whole guide, and that will actually guide you through the process. And then Susan and Sven also has a private practice where they help people through dowsing, through rolfing, through all sorts of. Susan has got a healing group where she works with healing guides. You can go into their websites, which I will put on the paper that I'm going to send out, and then you can actually contact them in all the gifts that they actually offer to the world. And sitting just in the presence of the healing guides, which she calls in through healing, you can actually feel a lot of shifts happening. So any one of you that are interested in healing on a deeper way, or want to do dowsing or rolfing, or Sven also does breath work, very powerful breath work. That's all ways that we can really rewild ourselves and become the truth of what we're actually supposed to be, and let all the old things go. And yeah, which will be also helpful in creating this new world while we're moving from the third dimension to the higher dimensions. Yes, it was lovely, and I really want to thank you so much for your time and for all the gifts that you gave us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elsie, and much love to you and everybody who listens in.
Thank you, Ilsa. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.